Good morning everyone, and welcome to AJ's allotment. This is going to be my January 2018 tour. It's the end of January and is actually a dry day. So I'm just going to show you what I am going to be up to today, and I'll turn you around and do that. We're up on plot 78A today, so we're not on the half plot, we're on the full plot. So I'm going to turn you around and show you what we're up to. So these are the cuttings from the plum tree. I've done some of the apple tree and I've still got the pear trees to do. And then when we've done that, we're going to get that shredder hired as and when we can. So this is where a lot of my flowers are going to be. I need to tidy that up a little bit, but I'm a bit wary because there are some bulbs in there. And I'll get down and show you. The daffs are just coming up now, but there are some other bulbs this side. So I'm going to try and get the couch grass out without disturbing too much. That is my biggest nightmare on here, couch, or other people call it twitch. My onions are just coming up. So again, I'm very cautious with my weeding because I don't want to be hoeing my onions. And the garlic, as you can see, are finally popping their heads up. I was concerned that they was no good, although they only seem to go halfway. So I'm hoping the rest will pop up. So there's a double row of garlic there. There's one there, one there. So I'm hoping they'll be all right. So they're popping up there really good. The broad beans are still looking okay. Obviously these were put in, was it November, I think? October, November time. They're looking really nice and healthy. This one's a little bit, something's had a nibble on that one. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that they're all right. There's only a couple missing, so I'm not sure what's happened to them, where they've actually gone to. Maybe I hoed them out, possibly. This is the middle bed. Can you remember I did the experiment with the newspaper? This was the second lot down, and it's really weird because in comparison to the rest of the bed, where there's couch coming through, up and all the rest of it, nothing's really come through. So it is going to work. So I definitely want to get to no dig, but again, like I say, it's about getting compost and all the rest of it. So it's going to be one of those, try to do that and get raised beds. I need to check my leeks, take some of those. I did think they was all goners and I nearly pulled them out, but actually they've perked up a bit. Some of them are a bit scraggy, but I'm going to take some of them for soup. This one looks like it's perked up quite a bit. So yeah, so where I thought they was really no good, they've actually popped the heads up. Masses of sprouting broccoli, so that's a pleasant sight. I need to build a bigger netting though because the pigeons have been at it. How do you know if you've got pigeon damage? Well, I'm going to show you. This is a clear indicator when the pigeons have been at it, because they've really gone at the leaves. So I do need to get some netting back over on those ones. So yeah, that's if you've got damage to your top leaves like this, it's a clear indicator that something's been landing and pecking at it and stripping them down here. One of my plants had actually completely been pulled out, but I'm really chuffed with the broccoli that's on them. So I've got something to eat. Yay! The kale's starting to perk up now. Was a bit scraggly. I'm just gonna come along. I come along and I take these ones for the guinea pigs that I've got a few holes in. They absolutely love it. Look, again, these have been nibbled at. I think they've probably had slugs through them. They've fallen over a bit in the winds. We've had terrible winds this last few weeks, as has most of the UK. I'm not sure what these were. When I put them in, I thought I'll just bung them in anyway. So although it looks like it might... Oh, is it focusing? No. It looks like it might be a broccoli again. So, anyway, we'll find out with those. This is going to remain... Sorry, my camera's focusing in and out. I don't know why. This is going to remain a brassica bed. Originally, I was going to put my potatoes in it, but it's not big enough. And because I've got the broccoli in anyway. So I'm going to keep this as a brassica bed. Because I didn't put anything in that patch last year. I don't recall. Oh, well, I did, and they just didn't work, so they got pulled out. So I'm going to use this for those. I haven't finished my planning yet. I keep amending it all the time. So I just need to square the edges up. Jonathan's going to come strim for me this week. And I want to try and get my paths covered. But yeah, the cooch is trying to creep in a bit, so I'm going to take the ground back. So that's going to be my brassica bed. Here I've got some flowers in. Oh, I was going to say they've not started to pop the heads up, but if you look just there where there's something else trying to grow, there it is. There is the start of what is going to be a tulip, I think. There's a few popping up actually. There's tulips and there's some Prince Charming daffs in here. Oh, not Prince Charming, Cheerfulness or something like that in this bed. So hopefully they'll be popping the heads up soon. I need to tidy my strawberry bed out. It's obviously need all the dead leaves out, and there's a bit of cooch running through there. This one needs filling up with compost, so I must buy some and bring some up. And then I've got loads of runners at home to work this out. This whole area has got to be cleared, and the hedges have to be cut back before we get into spring. It is a mess, an absolute mess, but it's riddled with bindweed. This is what this is. It's all bindweed, but with lots of birds in it. I don't want to upset their environment. Obviously these are very good for the birds to eat through the winter, so I don't want to disturb it too much. This was the bin that had the rabbit poo in from the rabbit lady last year. Composted down quite well. It's just the wood shavings take a lot longer. If she just used straw, I'd be more willing to have more of it. So what I did last time I was up is I slung some cardboard down and I got some of that out, but I was running out of time, because the idea is I'm going to have these as raised beds. So where I put this cardboard, I'm going to have a raised bed there, a raised bed there. I thought I'd do a narrow one for fruit where the ladder is, and then two more raised beds there, if not three. But polythenes come off, look. Last time I was up, I was battling with the weeds. It's horrific, even though it was covered. So I'll be sorting this out. I've still got to prune these pear trees. I've got to cut them right back. I've started on cutting back the apple tree, but I need someone who's taller than me to come finish off, because I haven't got a ladder up here apart from that one, but I'm not using that. So I need to tidy up my cuttings and get them moved, and then I think this week my husband's going to come and finish just taking a bit of top off that, because they're not supposed to be this big. And then again I need to do the plum tree, but you're not supposed to prune plums, I think, until is it summer or spring? I need to double check on it. I don't want to cause any harm, but it's leaning quite a bit now. It is in the way. I do an hour as to whether to just take it out. I need to tidy it around my raspberries. I've got more raspberries to come up. So this was an autumn variety. So I think they're the golden raspberries, those ones were. I need to tidy that area up. Sort of tidying up, really. And then this has stayed down quite nicely, actually. So this is where I was going to actually put all my legumes and all my beans. I was going to put them in here, but I thought, do you know what? This is actually a better space for my potatoes this year, because I've got quite a lot to go in, and because I want my beans for drying. Was so overshaded by this hedgerow, that tree, that it took a lot for the beans to dry last year. So I think I might do one row of beans at the back there, but the rest of it's going to be potatoes. Eventually this will be raised beds as well for next year, but for this year I'm going to put my potatoes here. I'm going to use the half plot where it's quite sunny to do all my beans for drying. So really this year this is definitely going to be my potatoes. So I'm just going to leave the polythene down for now. I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to tidy these outskirts up, try and rag all this bindweed out, get it cleared. This is all bindweed. and nettles. I've had an idea for my compost bin. One moment. I've had an idea about maybe getting a water butt or a catcher here and using this to prop up and putting a bit of gutter pipe down, so I've got a water supply at the back, because it's a long way to water things. Hopefully I won't have to water my potatoes really, but last year it was so dry for so long, they actually needed a water. Little birdie. Should have done my bird watch up here really. So as you can see, the grass is starting to grow now, so that's definitely got to be trimmed. But today's job, these are all lots of jobs, but today's job is creating my rhubarb bed, which is going here. So I'm going to be digging this up. I've got a couple of crowns that I've brought from home, and I'm going to put them in here. As you can see, this one, I wanted to try and get this out before it started to grow, but it's already growing now. It's fantastic rhubarb. The problem with this is the blackberries just keep coming and growing through it, so I need to get them out. And again, lots and lots of bindweed is riddled through it. But I did divide this crown a little bit last year, but yeah, I think I might dig those outer edge ones up. But yes, so we know that it's a new growing year when the rhubarb starts to come up, which is quite exciting. So my husband said he's going to try really hard to get this back area cleared this year, so get rid of the nettles, and then get this used as a compost area. We were supposed to do that last year but never got it done. There's just so much that needs doing, but this is my worst area, this hedgerow. The light's not very good. So I best get off the camera and get on with digging, and then I'll show you when I've got that done. So if you're very new to gardening and rhubarb, you may hear people say a rhubarb crown and think, well, what is a crown? This is a crown. So this is what I've dug up from home. As you can see, it's already trying to grow. So what people do is when they get too big, they dig them up, and to separate a crown, I'll maybe show you with this one, but they have massive roots that tap down to draw all the moisture up, and they're very hearty. So to separate a crown and divide a crown, you simply get your spade, might seem a bit ruthless, and you chop through it, and that creates two plants. If you've got a really large crown, then you can keep dividing it up and pot them on. So I mean, if I wanted to and then give them a rest for a couple of years, I could divide it again there and then not touch these. So normally when you've done a division, you wouldn't pick from those crowns in the first year. You give it enough time to recoup its energy and put the energy into its roots. So I'm going to plant these now, but that's what happens when you divide a crown. And then simply dig a hole, put it in, make sure it's got plenty of earth around it. Rhubarb likes moist conditions, hence why it's growing really well now. But I thought I'd just explain that for those of you who may not have divided a rhubarb crown before or known what to do with them. They're quite tough, as long as they've got decent soil, you know, with plenty of nutrients in it. Give it a mulch in the autumn, winter, even springtime as it's coming up, but don't mulch over the very top of the crowns, otherwise they could rot away. So I thought I'd explain that for you. I'm going to carry on and get these in the ground. So I'm sat here having a cup of tea in this amazing sunshine that's come from nowhere, pondering the plot and the work that I've been doing. I do need this though. There's an awful lot to do, and every little job seems to take longer than it needs to, and it's hard work, and whoever made couch grass is evil, is what I've come to the conclusion. But whilst I'm sat here appreciating the sunshine and everything else, I've had an idea, so I'm going to turn you around and tell you about my idea. So my idea is, let me pop this down. I don't benefit from the way the plot is laid out from obviously its previous tenant, and because of that pear tree I've kept it the way it is, but we're missing out on beds sort of thing. So I'm thinking if I take the scaffold poles out, because I don't use them like that, and I always have to worry about the kids running past the ends and all the rest of it. So if I see if we can take those out and then go back to having a central path down, how it should be, and putting a path back in the middle, but obviously that pear tree's in the way a bit there, so I might take that out because it's lopsided anyway. But I'm definitely think for at least the back two beds to take that scaffold pole fence out and put the original, as you expect to have, a path down the middle, and then it might make it a bit easier for me to decide how to do things and where the divisions of beds go. But that's just what I've been thinking while I've been sat having my cup of tea, enjoying the sunshine and the birds tweeting. It's very nice out here, although I really must go home soon. But it's very nice to hear the birds whilst you have a cup of tea. So that was my thoughts while I had my cup of tea. I'll show you the rhubarb bed in a minute, what I've been doing. But for now I'm just going to finish my brew. You have to bring a flask of tea with you. I've got my kettle and that on the other plot, so when I come to the top plot I'll bring my flask of tea. I do feel a bit torn between two plots. It's like having two children, not knowing which one to go to first. But yeah, so that was what I was thinking. Let me know what you think. So I'm going to prune the big blackcurrant bush here. Now, one of the first things that's really important to do is to rake any grass and things so you can clearly see the underside, and be very careful because, as you can see, I have brambles running through it. So if you just put your hands in, you might get a bit of a stab. So just clear the bottom with a rake and make sure that there's no brambles or anything else sharp running through it. Now, this hasn't been pruned for a long time. I didn't get around to doing it last year. So I'm going to look to take at least a third out of it. And I'm going to do so using my ratchet cutters here. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to look for the oldest wood and take it out. But please, people, be very careful with blackberries. They do run through everything, and if you can't see them, you will get a shock. So I've taken out quite a bit, as you can see into the middle now, and I've got rid of some of that bramble. But it's got a much more open space, so it can breathe in the middle. There's a few crossing branches I need to tidy up with my secateurs, but I've left them at home. But yeah, so that's going to come back really nice. As you can see, we've got some nice growth on it already. Anyway, so these kind of jobs really do need getting on with quite urgently. But so we look to take a third of it out every year, and it just replenishes it, so you get new growth every year. So it's not going to harm it by giving a good crop back. So if you stick to the rule, a third, and then look for crossing branches. Now, by crossing branches, this is a good example here. It's the crossing. So they're rubbing along each other. Again, it's quite congested here, as you can see. They're all rubbing against each other. So I will probably nick this one out because it's crossing over that one there. So I'll just take it back down here. When I've come up with my secateurs, again here, they're all in a tangle. So that's not what you want really. So I would take this one out here because it's rubbing up. So I will come and do that when I get my secateurs. But it's one of those jobs that really does need getting on with. The whole row of gooseberries need doing, like get all the couch grass out again. But that's going to be a good 2-3 hour job. So I'll put it on my job sheet. It's massive, my job sheet, as is everyone else's. You can just see the daffies popping up. But yeah, so it's little jobs like that which are time consuming, but as you can see, this is the result of what I've taken out. So I've really taken quite a bit out there. Last year I would have been scared to go at it, but you can see the difference in this is old wood, so it's quite brittle. it's been there. Right, so I'm just going to quickly show you the rhubarb bed. I did do it once, but my phone cut off, so I'm going to rush because I'm probably out of memory time. Yes, I've just straightened up the polythene. I've put all the tree cuttings in the compost bin, and this is where the rhubarb is. So there's 4 crowns, and they should be popping up real soon. But I won't pick from them because I'll be letting them rest and get the roots in the ground. I'll be picking from that one there, and the 2 crowns that I put in last year at the front. Right, I'm going to go get my dinner now. So I'll catch up with you another time. So this is January tour 2018 of plot 78A. And I will catch you in a week or so. We're on this plot when I've got a few more jobs done and there's a bit more to see. But for now, from Amanda from AJ's Allotment, it's goodbye and take care. Please remember to like and subscribe and share. It's been great.